Mafia, are you ready?
He said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome everybody to Brotherly Love Wrestling, and on the show, a returning guest, Mr. Kit Osbourne. Kit, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
So what's happened since the last time? Since the last time you lost a leg, we talked here.
Yeah, it feels like it. Definitely, this is like today. I had surgery on Thursday, and today's the first time I saw daylight since then. And it hasn't been too sweet. I tried to go to the gym, which is where, I'm still in my car coming from, and I'm concerned because I still don't have feeling in my foot, so I don't know what that means. I reached out to my doctor, the guy that the surgeon, the one that performed it, and he's saying that he pretty much didn't give me an answer, and I was like, I don't know what that means. It just constantly just like, dude, just tell me, what the fuck are we doing? So I'm a little concerned about it. There's I guess I shouldn't say that there's no feeling, but there's just, I can't move my toes still. Mm-hmm. And it's because of some nerve blocker that they put in, but by now it should have gone. So I don't know if, so I have to go and see him this week, about that. But he kept trying to say oh, don't be concerned. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean don't be concerned? Let me just look it up on Google and see how that does. And none of this makes any sense. So, I have that going for me,
So take us back to the injury. What came about? How the hell did you hurt? Was it in the match with Dickinson at the backyard show, or was it after that?
Oh, no, it was way after that. It was just a couple weeks ago. I was in Jersey, might as well have been New York. It was at JCW's Battle Bowl. Mm-hmm. And I had doing a match with me and Evan Connors versus who the hell was it? Well, it didn't really matter. Regardless, I went to go and whip somebody off, and then they held on to the rope, so I ran at them, and I go to do this baseball slide, and I'll grab their foot and pull them, and for whatever reason, I went on their left side, so it means I had this switch, footing, mm-hmm. which I never do it on my left. I always do it on my right. Otherwise, this wouldn't have fucking happened. And instead I did that. I rolled it, but what happened was my foot gripped onto the canvas, and then my ankle just kept going. So I broke it in 3 places. I knew it right away. I made it outside of the ring, and I just knew immediately that it was broken just by the way that, it was just fucking moving. And I wasn't hurt. I was really pissed off because I knew exactly what it was. I don't know anything about how long it takes, what do you have to do about a broken ankle or anything like that. I just knew it was broken, and I knew it wasn't able to get back in the ring and then, and finish a match. So then I just laid down on the ground and just waited, and I remember, everybody obviously knew that I wasn't, this was not part of the plan. Mm-hmm. And I knew it right away. Some people were like, oh, let's take it off. And I'm like, don't fucking touch it. And then the other people were like, oh, do you want me to call an ambulance? I'm like, not in your fucking life. Do you call an ambulance? Okay. I'm not bleeding out. All right. The only way you're gonna have me bleeding out of my fucking wallet is if I'm bleeding out on this goddamn concrete in New Jersey. So, you know, so I tried to, you know, make myself, you know, I really couldn't. I was pissed off because I knew exactly what it meant. I knew that I was gonna immediately be out for a long time. I knew everything that I had ahead. You know, every you know, booking I had going on and opportunities you know, that were ahead of me, and that all just flashed before my eyes, and now I'm here. So so, you know, needless to say, like I guess I feel like the only thing I could compare it to is like Austin when Owen broke his neck and he was in the hospital and then whatever hotel that in Philly,
Mm-hmm.
you know, afterwards, and he just pissed off like nonstop, and I was like, that's me. Like every day I wake up and I just want to jump up out of bed, and I can't do it. And so today, the first time since Thursday that I hobbled my ass out, you know, and you know, I forced myself to the gym, you know, and just tried to do things on my own, and like the littlest things like piss me off are like people holding the door, or then everybody asking, you know, oh, what happened, you know, and I just like, and I know everybody means well, but I just don't care at this point, you know. It's because I'm just so frustrated, but you know, I'm trying to get through it, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with it. So yeah, that's the story up until now, since the last time I was there, you know. But it's been a little wild. I mean, even before this, 'cause this was just a couple weeks ago.
You were running the streets of Orlando last time we talked to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I remember that. I was pretty fucked up. Or I was getting there.
You were definitely on your way to the bar, so you were probably pre-gaming
100%.
before you got there.
Oh, of course.
We were your pre-game.
In Orlando, man. In Orlando, it's like the Wild West. There's no rules there. I just, you know, even during COVID, you're like, people are looking at me like I'm a weirdo wearing a mask, and I'm just like, I just thought that I was just trying to be safe, you know, and trying to protect others, and they're just looking at you like, get that fucking thing off your face, and make you little Mary, you know. And I'm just like, jeez.
They're different.
You know, I
they're
swear,
a different
like,
breed
you go
out
there and they just want to pull the mask and slap it back at you. Like, you know, they're weird, but I don't know. Yeah, I was with No Peace. I'd be there a lot, and you know, and they have a lot going on now. But yeah, I've been in, you know, since then. I mean, I've probably been in GCW a few times, and a lot of different promotions that I've never wrestled for. I was supposed to go to, you know, be an ICW for the Insane 8, which it looked like it went really well, and you know, congrats to Neil Cutter on that. But you know, it's rough, man. Because in my head I wanna just stop looking at wrestling, and then I just go, oh yeah, that's the only thing that you watch and do, you know, Kit. Like, so what are you gonna do now? And I'm like, I just watch a lot of Watch Mojo on YouTube. Because I'm not even the kind of person that can really sit and watch a movie. You know, it's not that I can't pay attention. It's just that I have so many other things on my mind at the same time. Like, so much I think I could be doing, you know, but I could sit and force myself. Like, I don't have like ADHD. I'm not like Joey Janela or whatever. You can't like, hey, right here, you know, but I just there's just so much more that I would rather be doing than watch a movie. And now I'm just sitting there and I'm just, you know, it's just constant. Like, if I go and visit my dad or whatever, and I'll watch the news with him, and I'll sit there and he'll like go to get up, and I'll just like, oh, what do you want? I'll get it, you know, just to like, he's like, you're fucking, your ankle's broken. He's like, you know, it's like, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I have the other leg. Yeah. All right. So I can't sit still. You know, me even in this car right now, I'm just like, well, I want to go somewhere and do something. But just because the last few days, like I had, medication I had to take for scarring and stuff. And I'll be honest, like I had somebody that brought me like a nice coffee. It was nice of them to do that. And I went outside to greet them. And I can't lie, I went out and it was humid as shit. And I started sweating because I've been in an air conditioning since it was Saturday, so like 2 days prior. And I go down and I go outside and I'm talking to him for like less than 5 minutes, and I just start sweating a little down my leg. And the moment the salt of my sweat just hit a stitch, I just start crying. And I'm like, I can't talk to you anymore. I have to go inside, and it was like that bad. But now it's just now like with my leg is fine. It's just that my foot, and and that's just what's freaking me out. But otherwise, everything else is like in place. I have pictures of the screws and stuff. But
Jesus.
Yeah, man, I've never wanted to walk more in my life, and I never looked so bitter looking at somebody just walking. And then when they sit down, I go, oh yeah, you're just gonna sit down.
Must be nice. Get up, walk,
yeah,
sit
exactly.
down.
So, Kit, the other thing that since we had you on last is I think only like a week or two after we had you on, you started your own show, Uncorked, and
tried to take the rub from us.
Right? Try to build my own concept and be among the other, the other hundreds of wrestlers that do it, but
it's almost like 100,000 people run a podcast.
Yeah.
I swear to God, man, it's fun.
It's a great concept.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
It's definitely
like, wow,
different.
What do I do? What do I do during the week when I'm not wrestling? And then I just go, well, you drink a lot of wine and you film yourself. So why don't you just, and during COVID, I'm not seeing really anybody. So I'm like, why don't I just drink with my friends or, people that I don't really get to see, as often. And, and just try to have some bit of a, base, what to talk about and see where it goes. And I've just, from the first couple I had, the first one was Neil Cutter and Casanova Valentine. And then from there I was like, I think I get the gist of it. And I know how to sway a conversation when somebody's kind of going off the rails like I am right now. But I have a lot to get out. All right. This is like the first time I'm really doing anything. And
we don't sway, man. We let you go. Have at it.
Thank you. And I just try not to let there be any fat in the conversation. And a lot of it is trial and error. Like I did it on Instagram Live, and I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I could redo all these conversations with these guys without it, because one, the quality is kind of bad, at least on their end, and then they're focusing. I realized that, oh shit, they're focusing too much on like what people are writing, and then I'm like, well, that's not going to be on the audio on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trial and error on how I do it, but since then, now I do it on Skype, which
mm-hmm.
I think I should be doing the way you guys are doing it on Zoom, because I've been trying to like save them and I can't do it because I just did one with Dan O'Hare,
mm-hmm.
And it won't save on my phone, and it's pissing me off. And you have like 30 days to do it, or to save it before they erase it. And I'm like, I'll fucking kill you if I don't get it. So it has been, but it has been fun. It fills the void during the week, and right now, because I don't need to do it on a certain day and I can do it anytime, like the person I'm interviewing is free, it gives me a little more leeway to kind of like, I can do a couple of them in a week.
Yeah.
And, and it doesn't get old. It's still fun no matter what, just because I'm shooting the shit with either my friend or I'm learning something from somebody I don't normally talk to. I haven't had really one bad conversation at all. So yeah, I definitely enjoy it. With the Uncorked with guy. Actually, I mean this. I don't know whenever this airs. Like tonight I'm gonna have my conversation with Marcus Crane that I did, and it was the first one that I did. I did it in his hotel room in AC.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm finally, we talk a lot. It's the first or only podcast he did since he got hurt. So we kind of just, messed around with that just to let everybody see where he's at, what his plans are and shit. So it's fun.
All right, so to put it into context, Monday night, so you'll be listening to this Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah. So you go back to Monday and you go to Kit, and you go to Kit's page and you find that interview with Marcus Crane.
Yes.
Yeah, my link's in my bio on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, so it's easy to find it, and then it'll direct you right to Spotify, and I've also been just lately on my YouTube page posting the live ones. So I did it with it's all the ones I did with Instagram that I post on there. I have Effie, Alley Cat, Gage, and then I'm gonna going forward. There'll be a lot better quality because we'll be using Skype, and then maybe I'll probably move on to Zoom or whatever. But
it's a normal transgression.
Just posting the video. Yeah. I'm learning. I'm a novice. I got a microphone, and I was pretty fucking proud of it.
It's like, yeah, you grow up and you're you don't get excited anymore over the stupid things you buy. Like when you were a kid, oh yeah, I saved up to buy this. I'm really proud of it. Now it's the items have gotten more minuscule. Oh, I got this microphone. 10 years ago, 10-year-old you would have punched you now. All this money for a microphone?
What the fuck are you doing with that? You could have bought another controller to smash when you lost. The appreciation I have for controllers now, I don't really I don't play many video games anymore, but anytime I do play and I just I want to just crush the shit out of it, and I just go, that was $60, and and then you just go, yeah, you're right. It's just a game. It's just a game. It's fine. Everything's fine.
So you mentioned that you had Nick Gage on the show. The one thing I did want to touch on, because obviously we follow you on your social media outlets and all.
Monumental.
Yes.
It was monumental for a certain part of wrestling.
Exactly. For deathmatch wrestlers and for yourself, you put on your story of you and Jimmy Lloyd watching it, and just the sheer happiness that you had watching Nick on AEW, on national TV, coming out, you could hear it. You weren't even on camera. You were just filming the bar TV. But you could hear the joy and how happy this made you just to see a guy like Nick
be on
national TV.
Yeah, I mean, when I first... So I used to only watch, WWE, WWF, when I was a kid. And up until high school, I sort of in the beginning, 14, 15 years old, I really wasn't watching anything. I only knew WWE. And one of my best friends in high school, his name's Justin Wilson, found out that I was a wrestling fan. I kind of didn't really talk about it much because I guess it really wasn't that popular in the area that I was in. But he loved it, and then him and I became friends, and he took me to the arena. And I knew that ECW was there, but I had no idea how to get there. I'm only 14, 15 years old, and I didn't think about it. And I didn't think that there's any other wrestling that really exists. I know of shit in Japan and stuff, but I was an idiot. And he introduced me to CZW, and some of the first guys that I ever saw were Gage, and I became a fan of his over the months of just watching him there. And I was like, that guy he's fucking real. This is different than anything I've ever seen. So it gave me a new interest in pro wrestling that I kind of was losing with just WWE because I was getting older and I was caring more about like, popularity in high school and and things like that. But this, this guy was real to me. And I mean, now I know him, he's a pussy, but, him, I can never give him a break. So I always was like he became one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. And then even when, a few years later, when they advertised for tryouts and training, I jumped on it because I always wanted to just be in a ring and I had never been in one. I did that. We were doing backyard wrestling. So I went in, tried out, and, eventually I ended up meeting him. And it was kind of like, I wouldn't say that I was some starstruck person or anything, but I was like, dude, I don't know what this guy's going to say to me, or, I just had no idea like what kind of a person he would be, because I just felt that his character was real. And yeah, he's the fucking same guy. Like, he's the exact same dude that he is in the ring. And it blew my goddamn mind. I mean, he's a little bit more sane, but like, I'm sure he could lose it like that. And then, since then, and since I've gotten to work with him and everything, and before I got hurt, we talk all the time, work out together a lot. So I would, definitely got like a close relationship with him since then. But, like when he, even with that, when we're watching him at a bar in Philly, me, Drew Parker, and Jimmy, and we're watching this on fucking TNT, ain't no drama, and against Chris fucking Jericho, and we're going, dude, like, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that, because I'm like, there's no way in the world that I would have said to myself, yeah, that guy in 2005, 2006, who was on Raw wrestling fucking Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker and everything like that, is fast forward in 2021 going to be wrestling this deathmatch fucking god, Nick Gage, on TNT in the main event on prime time. And I'm just like watching, so it just blew my mind. So I just, it still rattles my brain. Like I can't fathom, that actually had happened. But he deserves it because he's a great talent. He is super believable because he believes in his own craft. And I don't need to put Gage over because he's without a doubt the most over wrestler in professional wrestling right now, deservingly. And, it took him this long to get it, but he's also changing the way that deathmatch wrestling is perceived for guys like me, and Jimmy Lloyd and everybody in GCW. So, first it's like you can't thank him enough. And then the other one, I mean, yeah, he's doing it for himself, but he really deserves it.
Hey, I mean, he's doing it for himself, but he's kind of like the leader. Like, he's doing it for everybody else. Like,
he is deathmatch wrestling. Like, he's the reason, like, that any of us will continue to get a look. Like, I remember when I first wanted to do a deathmatch, my reasoning was, DJ at CZW isn't going to give me shit. Like, I don't know what it is. He doesn't fucking see value in me, but I'm still there. And yet, anytime, you give me the ball, like, anytime you bring me to the plate, I knock it out of the fucking park, so I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And I just thought, well, maybe I could try this. And, I've never dabbled into it at all, but it was always something I wanted to try, not just to get over, but change who I am and maybe have people see me differently, because maybe they just look at me like, oh, well, he's not built for it or something. I don't know. There's something that's missing with Kit Osbourne, and then I just, begged to be in Tournament of Death in some capacity, and it worked out. And then The only problem is I fucking fell in love with deathmatch wrestling, and my back, proves it. And you start getting labeled as a deathmatch guy and not a worker, and you're like, I'm a fucking worker. I work the shit out of everybody, and I just happen to have light tubes involved. I'll never let somebody believe that, like, it's a death match with Kit Osbourne. It's Kit Osbourne in a death match. Like, that's how it should always be perceived. It's the fucking wrestler, and if there's no story behind the match, and to just call it, a lack of a better word, a prop that is bringing the match, the level of the match higher. There's an importance for every single time I swing a light tube or a chair, or every single time I land in barbed wire, which I fucking hate. And it's just, there's a reason why we're hitting each other with it. So I think Gage is bringing that that aspect to it, to everybody else. So everybody that just looks at deathmatch wrestling in a certain way, if you watched him versus Chris Jericho, watch how he fucking looks at the camera, man.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time, how he shows that pizza cutter, because he wants everybody in that crowd to see what the fuck he's about to do. He doesn't just pick it up and do it, like, he wants everybody to see how fucking real he is, and whatever. But he's bringing the this big attraction, he's making it a bigger attraction than it should have been a long time ago.
Now, is the feeling that when it comes to deathmatch wrestling, because I'll be honest, like, I don't watch a lot of deathmatch wrestling. It's not always, like, I get the story behind it. Now, is the main story supposed to be that there's a survival aspect, like, you have to survive? Like, is that where, like, the meat and potatoes are? Is that like the hook? Like, or is there a bigger storyline that some people just miss?
Well, it's the same as any match. I mean, I want to fucking win. Like, that's the point. Like, I want to win. And then when you add it into, like, a death match, it's going to be, well, I'm going to make that guy bleed real fucking bad, and then I'm going to win. So, I think that when there's, like, a story involved, like, there's tension. Like, the first time I worked Gage, since we were talking about him, I was on point wrestling champ, and he comes in, and I thought it was stupid. It kind of pissed me off, but it was a first blood match, right? So we have a first blood match, and we have light tubes everywhere. We have, like, I could trip and fucking lose the title, right? But we built there's an entire story around it of, man, I can't let him hit me with this shit, and he can't let me. So I'm just as much of a threat as he is at this point. It doesn't matter how big or how strong somebody is, but at the point is, man, the second that referee sees you, like, you bleed, you're done. Like, you're out. You lose that title or you keep it. It's like, and that was the thing. So it changed the entire aspect of the match. It wasn't just, hey, I'm just gonna pick this up and throw it at you, because you probably have the same idea that I do. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's like a game of chess. When it comes to, if it's just like a regular death match, I think that it just means that there are no rules. And then it is to go back. It is sort of like a survival of the fittest type of thing. Like how much can I bleed? How much can I make them bleed? And at the end of it, who's gonna die out? I think that's really how it works, and it's the same as a regular match. Who can outlast the other, or who can, pin the other one, make them submit, whatever. The same concept.
I think it's almost like the ultimate action movie. It's like when fans watch it, they, like, can't separate, like, the reality and, like, oh, this is still fake or whatnot. But so is, like, a movie. Like, it's what it always goes back to. It's like the movie. This is just like the climax to an action movie is the death match. Like, you get all the objects, the weapons. It's just like that. It's supposed to be the most suspenseful match there is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, I understand there are guys that don't want to do it. That's not why they got in the business or anything like that. It's not why I got in the business either. I just started, I just started really enjoying it. After I did it, and I guess it's its own form of addiction. To be honest with you, I don't know, but I certainly don't mind bleeding. I carry all the scars that I have, which I don't think are many compared to a lot of the guys out there at all. Um, but I carry with honor, I guess. I I just think that it got a terrible rap over the years because of some of those dudes that just don't they just they're like play fighting, and they just go out there, they get a light tube and they just throw it at somebody and that's it, and they just think that now I'm a deathmatch wrestler. It's like, nah, man, it's a hard concept to get over, I guess, but you see it with if you watch a Gage match, man. Like, this shit's real, and I don't want to get hit with a tube. I don't want to let anybody hit me with a tube, but I'm willing to take it because at the end of the day, like, we all want to fucking win. And that's just the same way as anybody in any other match.
The one thing I think, it might be one of the better stories I've seen in the time watching pro wrestling, is the story that was just told, or just basically ended. Although, with Matt Cardona now being the GCW champion, it is turned a little bit. But that storyline with RSP and Nick Gage and how long that took, with 440 having the title, that story that they told, I can't remember how long it actually was.
And they kept it going while Gage was injured.
Exactly, kept it going. Even found a way of working Traymont's retirement match with RSP is in during that time frame. I mean, everything, that whole story is one of the greatest stories I've ever seen in professional wrestling.
RSP was very underappreciated throughout
Yeah.
his entire championship run.
And look what he's doing now. Look what he's doing now. And there's so many things that you can thank. You thank GCW for giving them, the time and to establish the storyline. If you look at it, RSP is a fucking great talent. And you have them, they have this chemistry. They build a story naturally, because, man, Gage wants that title all the time. And he doesn't want to be fucking hurt. If there was anybody that's more fucking angry that he was hurt, it was Gage, every day, pissed off, and that he can't perform. He can't be 100%. And that builds a natural story that these fans see. And the problem is, and I talk about how, yeah, it's a great story, but there's so much realism involved. And we can talk about, every aspect of this story that happened, what's happening in real life with Gage, what's, with RSP as champion and how these fans are reacting to it. And at the end of the day, none of us are talking about how there's just glass shattering and things exploding. None of that fucking matters. Like, they could have a full match with none of it involved, and it would be just as gruesome and brutal, and the story would still be there, and everybody would be just as engaged as they would be with a light tube or fire. And with deathmatch wrestling involved and that, and you input weapons and things like that, all it does is just add that fuel to the fire, sometimes literally.
Well, and I think not only that, that whole thing, and now I feel like raising GCW another level with Matt Cardona being champion and the way he became champion. Yeah,
they had like two of the most hated people in their whole entire fan base as champion almost for a whole year, for longer than that.
Yeah, I think with Matt Cardona, he's an oddity in GCW.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not an oddity in pro wrestling, but in GCW, he is. He obviously he clearly held his own, and he and him as champion. there's parts of him that he brings the seriousness in, and then there are times where he's making and poking fun. I mean, that'll all probably come back at him. As we all know, anybody that says shit usually ends up getting fucked over later. That's literally what's happened my entire life. And I just, it's like insanity. I just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And I'm still waiting for it. But regardless, he held his own, and he did more than what anybody thought he could do, in that match. When that did happen, after that happened or whatever, I think it changed the way people perceive Zack Ryder. They don't look at him as just this, a WWE guy. Yeah, a WWE guy that collects fucking action figures and talks about them on his own podcast. He's somebody that, that he's showing like, hey man, I can take this shit just as much as anybody else. Just because I was in WWE doesn't mean that I'm not willing to do what it takes to get to myself to the next level in the eyes of fans that don't watch me normally. Because listen, no matter if you're, Shawn Michaels or whatever, if Shawn Michaels is like the top of his game, or The Undertaker, there's going to be people that don't actually watch them at all. And, and they obviously don't need to, show themselves to a different audience. But Zack Ryder clearly knows that he had to, and he did. So now he has thousands of other fans or people that are watching, what Matt Cardona can do and not what Zack Ryder can do.
It's amazing that like when the current crop of talent has just left WWE and like the passion, the like realization of how much they love wrestling once they get out, and they're actually able to do like other things. Like basically they get like a hall pass to like, here you go, you're in a match, book it. You're given freedom to be who you want to be, and now you're seeing like the indies at like an all-time high again. Like it's like a recycling. Like talent gets scooped up, and now talent's back.
The thing is, I agree for the most part, but I also think that there are guys that they see the trend of wrestling. I mean, those people that are really passionate about it, and like me, I'm pissed off, really fucking pissed off that I'm not in that ring being able to run the ropes. That would be a fucking dream if I could wake up tomorrow and just roll in the ring and hit the ropes a couple times. That would be a fucking dream. And there's that passion for wrestling that I think a lot of guys in WWE don't have. They have more of a hunger for fame than they do for a passion for wrestling. And that's fine, because as long as you're still talented, and you're fun to watch, as a fan, what the fuck does it matter, I guess. But because they're not in WWE, and they have this name, and they're not in WWE, they then kind of, in a way, need to start showing off their fucking passion for wrestling, because that seems to be what these guys in independent wrestling, why they're making it to the top. Why somebody like Gage is literally, I think, personally, the top indie wrestler in the fucking world right now. And it's because people see his passion for wrestling, for deathmatch wrestling, his care for the fans and what they think, and things like that. Like, that shit finally added up, and it took 15, 20 years to do it, but it doesn't just happen overnight. And that's the way he went about it, because he fucking cares about wrestling in that way, and he's not somebody that's going to sell out, or at least change. I mean, he'll sell out. Like, who the fuck wouldn't sell? But he'll sell cardboard fucking pizza cutters all day. All right, all day.
It's like that
MPK,
fucking
pizza cutters.
It's like that Chappelle Show fucking Rick James episode. Nah, I never did coke. Yeah, I remember doing coke.
Yeah.
Man, he would never sell out. Fuck yeah, he would definitely sell out.
Yeah, but that's the idea, and and that's why Gage is where he is now. Is because people, because of social media, are seeing this passion and they care about it and they can relate to it. Because even as a fan, you're watching for 20 plus years, it's because you really give a shit about this. You really care about the story. You get really involved, and you connect with, these guys. And I think that, somebody like Lesnar, for example, Lesnar, is a fucking badass. And if he left WWE, I don't know what kind of reception he would really get, other than him being like a big badass that we should be scared of, because that's who Brock Lesnar is. People, would question, well, does he even really like to do this shit? Because it seems like he really doesn't.
He likes
really
the zeros at the end of his check.
Right. And that's cool, because we all do. But I didn't get into wrestling for money. I think it's fucking awesome to be able to travel, and what would really was considered just a fucking hobby, and now this is life. This is the only thing I fucking care about. And to have somebody pay for you to fly somewhere so that you can show off your ability and this passion for wrestling in a different state, whether it's Nevada or or in Las Vegas, if I'm in a city like Vegas, or if I'm in a fucking Milwaukee. Who the fuck wants to go to Milwaukee? But it's just the idea that I get to do that is awesome. And
you're not liked many places, are you?
You can't take it for granted. What's that?
I say you're not liked many places, are you?
No, I'm not liked anywhere. I'm to be honest, I'm very surprised. When I even when I got taken out of King of the Death match, the amount of support that I get, and it's it's clear. I have a love-hate relationship with fans, but at the end of it, it is things, people that reach out, even when I got hurt, the amount of messages that I still get. I didn't even leave the building yet, and I had hundreds of fucking messages and tweets and everything like that. And I go, I didn't even know that this many people liked me, or this many people were even, invested in me. And they're the ones that actually get me through it. I don't care how many times I have to explain what happened or how I heard it or how I'm doing. It gets me through every single day, because there's a reason why, I did it. I didn't just walk out of my house like, oh, I'm gonna go get coffee or whatever, and then trip and break my ankle. I did it for a reason, and it was to entertain. And I'm happy that happened in close to home and not in on the other side of the country. But it's the fact that these people do support me, and it shows that they love to hate me. They don't hate seeing me come out. They obviously get up and enjoy whether booing me or cheering me. So it changes my perspective now to where when I get back, I think I'll 100% be a completely different person, different perspective on wrestling and all that.
But still hate people.
I mean, I just hate everything. Dude, I swear to God, if you can relate it to me driving. If I'm driving on the highway, I'm in the right lane, and somebody is trying to pass me or whatever in the left, great. But if they didn't see me and they just almost get over and they get a little too close and they turn over and they fucking freak me out for a second, I want their friends and family to pass away before their eyes, But if they actually hit me and they spin out or whatever and they go on, hit the median, and we're both in a standstill, I'm going to get out and I'm going to be the calmest person and most caring, hey, are you all right? Everything fine? But a second ago, if they didn't hit me, I wanted them to die. So, I mean, try to figure that out.
There's no way. You had me up until that.
Right.
So you said, Kit,
reversal.
Kit, you can't sit around and watch a lot. You get very antsy. Are you an Eagles fan? And will you be able to sit and watch the Eagles game and enjoy that.
Well, I'm not an Eagle. I'm not a fucking Eagles. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, that's right. You're an asshole.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I'm an asshole. I haven't watched any preseason. I've never really watched preseason.
I'm too scared to watch preseason.
But yeah, I don't really have any. I just don't find it enjoyable at all.
Preseason's where all the injuries come up.
I think preseason in football is terrible.
Yes.
For that reason, that reason alone is a good one. But I just also don't. I don't know what it. Like, I don't watch spring training either, and I'm a huge Phillies fan. But I will. I'll go to a game. But that's completely different.
Well, yeah.
For
those who don't know, that's in Clearwater, Florida. That's why he'd go to a game.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I love watching football. I like going out and watching it more than sitting at home.
Yeah.
Sitting at home, like I'm just sitting there and I'll watch. If I'm watching it by myself, I'm like freaking out at the TV, scaring my cat. It's terrible, you know. Oh my god! You want to talk about like breaking controllers? It's like get the remote the fuck away from me before I frisbee it into the TV.
No, I know exactly what he means.
Of
with that
course.
one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I pick up the table though. I like to go absolutely big and just throw tables. Coffee tables out the fucking window. Get the fuck out.
Oh, Christ! Yeah, it's like why do we do this to ourselves? You know?
Because
we could just read a book.
Misery loves company.
It's the same thing. It's like the frustration in wrestling. It's like, I could have just, got a regular job and got a house at the end of a cul-de-sac, and just scoop shit out of a gutter every Sunday and just said, hey, how are you, neighbor? And instead I just go, and instead I just bitch about things to other wrestlers and they're not even listening to me, because they're bitching about their own things, and then it always just ends up like, it's not that bad.
Well, Kit, what is the exact timetable as of right now for a return? I mean, I know you said you're questioning your foot, but
I'm gonna say feel the foot first and then work on that.
Yeah, it's. I know that. I mean, I'm confident. I want to be confident that it'll be okay, and this is all just something from the surgery. Maybe like too much of a nerve block, or I don't know. It's definitely a struggle, and it gives me extreme anxiety, especially. I mean, not being. I think about G Raver and how him with his hand, and I go, I don't want to freak out yet. So, I mean, the way that he's come back is, at the top of his game, and so I just don't want to, I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to complain, too much yet. It is still early. As for the time frame, I think it's, we're looking at like late November, maybe.
Okay.
I think, and that's just to be, super safe. I get the stitches out next week. So when I get them out, I'll get in a boot and something I don't have to be afraid to get fucking wet. And I'll tell you, that's the biggest hardship. Is taking a shower. Is and I sit in there and I go, I hope this thing's. I can't really tell if it's getting wet or not, because you had that little cover thing.
Yeah.
And I go, I don't feel anything, but I also don't know, and I'm just like, when I get done, I just go, please, for the love of God, don't be fucking soaked. And then it's like opening a present. I'm like, oh,
Jesus.
The little things, man, the little things. So yeah, we're looking at the end of November.
Okay. Well,
just in time for turkey.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So good. We hope that everything's good. We hope that you're, like you said, it's just a complication. You'll be good to go. But hope for a healthy recovery. We hope to see you soon. And thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us.
Thank you guys for having me again. I appreciate it. I'm glad this time I was able to sit down and not drunkenly walk around with people behind me yelling at me.
You weren't glad. You'd rather be running around drinking and people yelling
Well,
at you.
yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I fucking 100% would rather be walking right now.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.